everyone, welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be making a monochromatic card. I'll be using Cracker Box and Susie stamps. I have a few here that I'll be using today. And as always, with any of the cards I make and videos, you can always find the supplies, specifically the stamps that I'm using today. They're always linked in the description box. Sometimes I don't link other supplies because you probably already have them on hand, but I always link the stamps I'm using just so you can see them and figure out their names. Now, the first thing I want to do is take this leaf stamp and go ahead and stamp it 3 times on vellum. With monochromatic cards, I really feel like to help some of the layers stand out because you're using all of the same color, I feel like adding a little bit of shine can help with that. So I'm actually going to heat emboss these with gold. I'm going with more of a craft brownie palette today. So I thought adding that little bit of shine will help these really stand out. I did prep my surface with my embossing bag, stamped in Versamark, and then sprinkling on that gold embossing powder. Now, I am amazed at how detailed these little leaves are, and whenever they heat emboss, stamped they're beautiful, but heat embossing brings them up to the next level, and I love watching heat emboss melt, especially on vellum. It amazes me every time. So I went ahead and let my heat gun heat up for about 30 seconds, and then I brought it to the paper. That's going to keep you from burning your vellum, and it's also going to keep from warping. Vellum can be really thin, and it can be a little temperamental when you take heat to it. So just give it that time to warm up, and then your heat embossing will melt in no time, and you don't have any problems with it. Once I heat set all of those, I went ahead and did some fussy cutting. I love fussy cutting, and I left a little bit of a border around all 3 of these. I also made sure to go ahead and cut in between some of the leaves because I will be overlapping these later on. Here's a closer look at all the detail you get with this stamp. Oh, I love it so much. Okay, moving on. After I went ahead and cut all of those out, I needed to do just a little bit of die cutting. Now originally I thought I was going to use a frame and the insert of this die in 2 different colors. So I did go ahead and die cut those from brown and craft. I ended up just using all craft because I like the look of it better. However, you can do the brown frame with the craft center. And if you do something like this, always remember that you can switch your card design in the middle. It's not going to hurt anything. Just throw your die cuts that you may have had into a little bowl off to the side. I always keep a little thing full of die cuts off to the side of my desk. Sometimes I just pull from there and make a card from what's in there. I went ahead and took that insert, the craft insert, and I'm going to stamp this Thankful, Grateful, Blessed stamp from Cracker Box and Susie Stamps. I prepped my surface with my embossing bag again, and I'm stamping it down with Versamark ink. I'm using my Misty because I'm actually going to do 2 layers of heat embossing. With a really bold sentiment like this, sometimes that heat embossing, even with a regular sentiment, it can look a little grainy almost, is what I would call it. So to get it just nice and level, to stand out a little bit more from that background, because we're going monochromatic, everything's pretty much the same color here, I want to go ahead and add that extra layer to really bump it up away from the surface. So I stuck my panel back in there again, prepped my surface again, stamped the same stamp down again. Because I'm using my Misty, it's going to go in exactly the same place, and then I can heat set again for a second time. You could even go a 3rd time with it. I was happy with it the 2nd time, but by all means, go for a 3rd time and really have it pop away from the surface. That would be gorgeous. There you can see that 2nd layer just really takes away that graininess, nice and flat and smooth. It's gorgeous just by doing that 2nd layer of embossing. So once I was done with the embossing, it was really time to start putting this card together. There's not a lot going on here. I find if you do a monochromatic card, it's best to keep it simple. That way you can see all the layers and everything that's going on. Because everything's one color, you don't want too much of it, or it can be a little bit overwhelming. So I took that die cut, the craft frame, I popped that up with some fun foam. Another tip when doing monochromatic cards, do different layers. So I popped up my frame, and then for my insert, I'm actually going to put that right inside. It fits like a puzzle piece, but I'm putting this down with regular adhesive. So you've got 2 different layers going on. That little bit of dimension is going to add shadow, and it'll help differentiate between where the frame ends and the insert starts. So there you can see adding that little bit of dimension, you get that shadow, you get that nice, um, it just helps differentiate the layers, I guess you could say. Now to add all those little leaves on the side, I'm going to do them on the left hand side. You can see I stamped my thankful, grateful, blessed off to the right a little bit. I'm not going to worry so much about adhesive because these are cut so close. There's not a lot of vellum showing through. They are so detailed. I can put adhesive right on the back of these and it's not a big deal. I went ahead and stuck that first one off to the left on the frame. Now these are going to be on different layers as well. I'm also going to tuck different leaves behind different little other ones here. So have some leaves in front, some leaves behind. It's going to look more intertwined. It's going to add more interest to this really, really simple card. I'm going to add my third one with more double-sided adhesive. You can even, if you wanted to, take a little embossing folder or a pen, roll some of those leaves around it, or use your embossing folder to kind of curl them, and that will help add dimension. So I added my third little leaf there, and I didn't like the bottoms of them sticking out, so I actually took my bone folder and just pressed them right inside the frame, so it looks kind of like they're growing out of that frame. I thought that was a better look for this card. I wanted to add some last minute splatters, but I didn't want them to get on my leaves, so I just tore up some extra paper, put it around the leaves and the frame because I didn't want to get the frame splattered either. And then I'll go ahead and take some, this is Fireworks and Rich Cocoa. If you don't have something like this, like a spray, just take a little bit of brown acrylic paint, and then, or you can take Perfect Pearls, mix it with a little bit of water, and just sprinkle that down with a paintbrush or toothbrush or whatever you have on hand. It really is just an easy technique that you can customize to whatever, and it adds that little bit of interest. This leaves more of a shimmer than a brown look, so that's why I went with this one. It kind of blends into the background. Finally, I'm taking some pale gold Nuvo drops, and I'm adding that all around the sentiment that I placed. I'm just doing different size drops, and once that was on there, this card was done. I didn't use that third stamp. I planned on putting that on the inside, which I did later, but on video I left that off because I didn't want to mess up my Perfect Pearls on the outside, or my Nuvo drops on the outside. There we go. There's a closer look at the finished card. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It really was a fun card to make, trying to come up with a monochromatic scheme that wasn't too boring. Off to the left, you're going to see a few different links you can click on. You can also subscribe to my channel over there. If you like this video, you can give it a thumbs up down below. As always, thanks for watching and happy crafting.